Good afternoon, everybody. Unfortunately, even though it's Tuesday, we were going to try to play some D&D Curse of Strahd tonight, but one of our players ended up getting sick, so we're not able to play Curse of Strahd because it's too much to take out one person over a three-person game. So what we get tonight is an hour, 2 hours, who knows how long it's going to last. Continue the story of the Challenge of the Blades. This is episode 3. And first, I'll be making sure that ChatGPT is up to the task. I've not got that loaded yet. What am I doing? Oh, my word. Hopefully, y'all can hear the music. Um, it is from Alexander Nakarada, Creator Chords. It's just royalty free ambient D&D music. Well, this is not good. Okay. For some reason, Projects isn't showing up, so hopefully this will still remember enough. Please give me a summary of the story up until now. We don't want to start just yet, so we'll let you know after you finish Summary. Remember, this is rated R, so use that as you will. Alright, it won't read it, so here we go. Festival of Blaze, Story Summary, Episodes 1 and 2. Episode 1, Enter the Arena. Simon, a tiefling eldritch knight, arrived in Veldrorin, a city known for its brutal high-stakes tournament, the Festival of Blades. Warriors from across the land gathered to test their strength, skill, and sheer will to survive in gladiatorial combat. Simon entered the tournament, taking his first steps into the blood-soaked sands of the arena. He proved himself in an exhibition match, impressing some and drawing the attention of those watching from the shadows. Before his next fight, Simon sought out a sponsor, hoping to gain formal advantage in the festival. He ventured into the Velvet Court, a gathering place for nobles, merchants, and back alley financiers who placed gold wagers on warriors. There he was approached by a mysterious cloaked figure who offered an obsidian token marked with a silver rune. Speak the name Balharan in the arena, the figure whispered, and you will be seen. Simon, sensing power and risk in equal measure, accepted the token and its challenge. Episode 2, The Battle with Sir Garrus. Armed with newly upgraded balance grips, scimitars, Simon entered his first real match against the seasoned veteran, Sir Garrus the Unyielding. A battle-hardened knight in plain armor, Garrus fought not for show, but to win. Simon called out Valharan before the match began, and something shifted. He felt watched, his instincts suddenly sharpened by an unseen presence. The fight was brutal. Simon struggled early, Garrus cutting him down with calculated strikes. Simon fought back fiercely, delivering precise slashes with the scimitars. He kept calling the name Valharan, and each time he felt the power watching him grow stronger. In a climactic moment, Simon tripped Garrus, knocking him prone. The veteran barely managed to stand, but it was too late. With a final decisive strike, Simon forced Garrus to yield. Simon was victorious. He earned 100 gold pieces and advanced to the next round. But something else happened. Each time Simon spoke Valharan, the unseen force drew closer. It is watching, it is waiting, and now Simon will dream. Current status and what's next. Simon chose to celebrate and rest before his next fight. When he sleeps, something will occur. Is it a vision, a warning, a test, a curse? Simon's Path and the Festival of Blades is no longer just about steel and blood. It's about fate. What's next? When you're ready, we'll begin episode 3 with Simon's Dream. Let me know when you want to continue or if you want to do anything before the dream begins. Just a reminder that things can be as bloody as you want them to be. And you'll be able to read it aloud to me. I'm ready. Let's begin.
Starting, scan, narrator window, close, button, scan off, heading level 1, new shortcuts are available. Narrator now offers more shortcuts to improve your efficiency. Skip past links, and scan mode shortcut that allows you to navigate to text after a link. This is most helpful when navigating through long emails, news articles, and wiki pages. Jump to list, L. Scan mode shortcut that allows you to jump to a list on a web page or document. Jump to graphic, G. Scan. Narrator window heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your settings, and learn about new features. Narrator is a screen reader that describes aloud what's on your screen, so you can use that information to navigate your device. To start or stop Narrator, press the Windows logo key plus Control plus Enter. Exiting Narrator.
Well, let me just read it again and see if maybe. I'm gonna pause this for a minute. See if y'all hang around.
The dream Simon experiences unfolds as follows. After calling out Valharan multiple times during his previous victory, Simon sensed an unseen presence had taken notice. Later, when he finally rests, he slips into a dream. Setting. Simon finds himself standing alone on a dark, desolate battlefield shrouded in a thick fog. The ground beneath him is littered with the broken remnants of weapons and armor from forgotten wars. An eerie silence pervades the air. Encounter. Out of the mist emerges a shadowy figure, tall, cloaked, and imposing. The figure introduces itself cryptically as Valharan, a being Simon had unknowingly summoned through his repeated invocations. Valharan radiates both power and menace, appearing both intrigued and amused by Simon's potential. Dialogue. Valharan addresses Simon with enigmatic words, speaking of destiny and hidden strength. He hints that Simon's victories have drawn attention from forces beyond his comprehension, implying that great trials and possibly greater rewards lie ahead if he embraces the path Valharan offers. Symbolic gesture. Valharan holds out a hand, revealing a small, intricate talisman glowing faintly with a crimson light. He offers it to Simon as a token of their newfound connection, explaining that accepting it symbolizes a bond, power in exchange for loyalty. Conclusion. The dream fades away as Simon contemplates the choice before him. Upon waking, Simon feels an unusual warmth in his palm, hinting that the dream may not have been merely a dream after all, but rather a genuine visitation by a powerful entity now bound to his fate. Simon now faces the question of what this new connection to Valharan means, and whether he'll embrace or reject the mysterious power offered to him.
Okay. First off, does Simon get the bits of a long rest?
Yes, Simon does receive the benefits of a long rest. While his sleep was filled with vivid and unsettling imagery, the rest was uninterrupted enough that he regains all hit points, spent spell slots and abilities, expended hit dice, up to half of the total, removal of exhaustion, if applicable, reset of any abilities or class features that refresh after a long rest. The strange nature of his dream doesn't negate the restorative effects of resting, but it does leave him with lingering questions about the dream's meaning and what accepting Valharan's offer could entail.
Alright, I will take a long rest. Okay. Does Simon know whether or not there is a library in town?
Yes, Simon knows there is a library in town. It's located within the Hall of Records, near the center of the city. It's known for its historical texts, scholarly archives, and collections of lore, particularly relating to local legends and supernatural occurrences. Given the mysterious encounter Simon just experienced, visiting this library might offer valuable insights into the name Valharan, the talisman, or similar entities tied to local folklore.
Okay. After breakfast, I head out and ask for directions to get to the Hall of Records. Breakfast, I had asked for to get
After enjoying a hearty breakfast, Simon steps outside into the crisp morning air. The streets are lively, bustling with vendors, townsfolk, and adventurers going about their business. Simon quickly spots an older merchant tending to a produce stall and approaches him politely. "Excuse me, could you point me toward the Hall of Records?" The merchant, friendly and helpful, gestures down the street. "Certainly. Head straight down Market Street here, past the central fountain. Take a left at Kingsway, then you'll see the Hall of Records. It's the stone building with ivy climbing up the sides. You can't miss it." Simon thanks him and heads off in the indicated direction, soon finding himself standing in front of the Hall of Records, an impressive, aged building draped in thick green ivy, its heavy wooden doors standing open to visitors. Do you wish to head directly inside, or is there anything else you'd like Simon to do first?
I look for the library first. Okay, so it is in the hall. Or not. We will see what we see.
Stepping inside the Hall of Records, Simon is greeted by a spacious entry hall, illuminated by sunlight filtering through high stained glass windows. The air is pleasantly cool, carrying the comforting scent of aged parchment and polished wood. Directly ahead, Simon spots a neatly arranged reception desk, behind which an older, bespectacled woman organizes stacks of documents. Approaching her, Simon politely inquires, "Excuse me, could you direct me to the library?" She glances up with a warm smile. "Of course, dear. You'll find the library just down that hall." She gestures to a wide corridor to Simon's right. "Go past the portraits, through the archway. You'll see the library doors straight ahead. Master Archivist Alaric can assist you with your inquiries." Following her instructions, Simon moves down the corridor lined with portraits of solemn-looking scholars. After stepping through the stone archway, Simon sees grand double doors marked with carved letters reading "Library and Archives." Pushing open the doors, Simon enters a vast chamber filled floor to ceiling with shelves of books, scrolls, and manuscripts. Tall ladders lean against the shelves, and scattered tables are available for study. At a central desk, a man, presumably Master Archivist Alaric, is deeply engrossed in an ancient tome. What's Simon's next move?
Approach Master Alaric and clear my throat. Get his attention.
Simon approaches the central desk, the echo of his footsteps absorbed by thick rugs spread across the polished stone floor. Upon reaching the archivist's desk, he politely clears his throat. "Ahem." The archivist glances up, startled from his reading. Adjusting his round spectacles, he offers Simon a gentle, welcoming smile. "Ah, forgive me, I was lost in these old pages. I'm Master Alaric. How might I assist you today?" He carefully closes the ancient tome, giving Simon his full attention. What would you like Simon to say or ask?
Simon says, I'm looking for information on something known as Malharan. Have you heard of it?
At the mention of Valharan, Master Alaric raises his eyebrows thoughtfully, tapping his chin as he searches his memory. Valharan. Curious, he murmurs. The name does seem familiar. He stands and walks slowly towards a nearby shelf lined with old leather-bound volumes. If memory serves, it's a name associated with an ancient figure, or perhaps a forgotten deity? Definitely something obscure, possibly even lost to common folklore. He turns back to Simon, adjusting his glasses with a slightly intrigued expression. May I ask what brings you to this particular name? A dream, perhaps? Or an artifact? His eyes sparkle with scholarly curiosity. How would you like Simon to respond?
Would it make a difference how I got it?
Master Alaric chuckles softly, nodding understandingly. Fair enough. No, it won't change whether I'll help you, but knowing the context can help me narrow down precisely what you might be dealing with. He walks slowly along the shelves, fingers gently trailing along the spines of books as he speaks. You see, the nature of the encounter, a dream, an artifact, perhaps an inscription, might tell me if we're dealing with folklore, history, or perhaps something deeper. Pausing, he glances back at Simon with a reassuring smile. But if you'd rather keep that to yourself, I completely understand. Either way, give me just a moment. He pulls out an aged, dusty volume from the shelf and carefully carries it back to the table. Setting it down, he starts flipping through the yellowed pages. After a brief pause, Alaric adds, Tell me, did this Valharan make you an offer or ask something of you? How does Simon respond?
Simon would like to first roll an insight check to make sure it seems Alric is on the up and up. Then I pull out the magic stone and show him. '19 on the inside check. 19 on the inside check.
With a roll of 19 on his insight check, Simon carefully observes Master Alaric's demeanor and expression as he talks. Result: Simon feels confident that Alaric is sincere, genuinely curious, and appears motivated purely by scholarly interest. There's no hint of deception or hidden motives in his manner. Satisfied, Simon reaches into his pouch and carefully withdraws the magic talisman, the stone he received from Valharan in the dream. It pulses faintly with its eerie crimson glow. Master Alaric's eyes widen in fascination. He leans in closer, studying the stone intently, but not touching it. Fascinating, he whispers. Such artifacts are quite rare indeed. This confirms it. Valharan isn't mere folklore. You've attracted the attention of something genuinely ancient. He takes a deep breath, straightening and meeting Simon's eyes. Give me just a moment. There's an obscure record here somewhere about this entity. Alaric quickly flips deeper into the aged volume, searching for something specific. Would Simon like to ask or say anything else while Alaric searches?
Tell me like it is. Is it a good spirit or a bad spirit?
Master Alaric pauses his search momentarily, looking up with thoughtful gravity. It's rarely that simple, I'm afraid, he replies gently. Entities like Valharan, ancient beings drawn from forgotten lore, often defy such straightforward labels. They're beings of great power, certainly, but morality isn't always clear. He sighs softly, his gaze serious. From what little I recall, Valharan is often depicted as a patron of warriors, heroes, or conquerors, but also vengeance, ambition, and sometimes darker pursuits. It rewards loyalty richly, yet its gifts rarely come without cost. He taps the old volume meaningfully. I suspect the answer you seek will depend largely upon your intentions and what exactly Valharan desires from you in return. Returning to his search, Alaric adds reassuringly, let's see if we can shed more definitive light on its nature. He continues carefully turning pages, searching for the detailed passage he needs. Would Simon like to wait quietly, or does he have more questions as Alaric searches?
He will wait quietly for the archivist finish searching.
Simon waits patiently as Master Alaric scans the pages of the ancient book. After several tense minutes, the archivist's finger lands decisively on a passage, and his eyes narrow with scholarly satisfaction. Ah, here it is. He adjusts his glasses and reads aloud softly. Valharan, known also as the Crimson Watcher, is an entity of duality, revered by some as a guide to valor and strength, feared by others as a harbinger of ruthless ambition. Ancient warriors and conquerors invoked its favor in times of war, seeking power and victory. Yet, those who pledged themselves to Valharan often found their ambitions consumed them, bound eternally by vows they could not break. He pauses, looking back at Simon meaningfully. It seems Valharan grants substantial power, but at the price of commitment and potential consequence. It is neither wholly good nor strictly evil. Instead, it mirrors the hearts of those who summon it. If your intentions remain noble, it might serve you honorably. But should your goals turn darker? Alaric trails off thoughtfully, closing the book gently. Take care, friend. Valharan's blessings often exact their own price. He gives Simon a moment to consider this information. What would Simon like to do or say next?
Does Valheim have a symbol I could use? wonder what level if I'm still level 3, I'm sure I am, but
Master Alaric nods thoughtfully, reopening the book to a nearby illustration. Indeed, he replies, turning the book carefully to show Simon. The page reveals an intricate symbol drawn in faded red ink. Description of Valharan's symbol. A sword, pointed downward, encircled by thorny vines. The blade is stylized and sleek with intricate engravings. Within the circle of vines, 3 drops of blood are depicted beneath the sword's tip, signifying sacrifice, strength, and ambition. Alaric explains quietly. This emblem was commonly used by those invoking Valharan's favor. Warriors and champions etched it onto armor, weapons, or talismans like the stone you're carrying. It's both a mark of dedication and an acknowledgement of the power and price that Valharan embodies. He glances up seriously at Simon. If you choose to carry or display this symbol, know it may draw the attention of others who've encountered Valharan or similar entities. Such marks seldom go unnoticed by those attuned to ancient powers. Does Simon wish to copy down the symbol, request more details, or do anything else?
he copies, copy, copies down the symbol and asks if there's anything else he knows about wearing this as an amulet. Okay, so I've got that.
Simon carefully copies the symbol onto a sheet of parchment from his belongings, ensuring he captures each detail precisely. As he finishes, he looks up and asks, "Is there anything else you should know about wearing this as an amulet?" Master Alaric thinks carefully before responding, his voice measured and sincere. Symbols such as this are never merely decorative. They act as conduits, anchors to the entities they represent. Wearing it openly can strengthen your bond with Valharan, possibly enhancing any powers or benefits you're granted. He pauses meaningfully. But it also announces your allegiance clearly, perhaps drawing the attention of others who serve different powers, beings who might be rivals or adversaries to Valharan. He gestures gently toward Simon's magical talisman, still softly glowing. Should you ever choose to fully embrace the symbol, engraving it, permanently displaying it, you might find the bond becomes even stronger and harder to break. He meets Simon's gaze solemnly. This could be beneficial or dangerous, depending upon how your relationship with Valharan evolves. Finally, Alaric smiles reassuringly. Whatever path you choose, Simon, do so carefully, and should you need more guidance, you're always welcome back here. Is there anything else Simon wishes to discuss or investigate at the Hall of Records?
Simon thanks the archivist and leaves the tower. He will then look for a tattoo artist. And I will go to the restroom real quick, so I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Um, let's see what we got.
Simon thanks Master Alaric warmly, who nods in return and returns to his studies, clearly pleased to have been helpful. Stepping out into the bright streets, Simon begins his search for a tattoo artist. He moves through the busy avenues of the market district, eventually spotting a modest yet colorful shop. Its painted wooden sign reading, Sash Chak, the Ink and Needle. Intricate designs of dragons, runes, and various symbols decorate the front window, clearly marking the establishment as the work of a skilled artisan. Pushing open the door, Simon enters. A bell rings gently overhead. Inside, the scent of ink and herbs fills the air. At the back of the shop, behind a wooden counter, stands a heavily tattooed woman meticulously sketching a new design. She looks up and smiles warmly. Welcome to the Ink and Needle. I'm Mara. How can I help you today? How would Simon like to proceed?
First off, am I close to gaining a level? I'd like to get a tattoo on the back of my right hand. How much would that cost?
You're very close to leveling up. In fact, completing Simon's symbolic connection with Valharan through the tattoo could easily serve as a meaningful milestone, pushing you to the next level. Mara nods thoughtfully as Simon describes his desired tattoo, the symbol of Valharan, on the back of his right hand. That's an intricate design, but manageable, she says, examining the parchment closely. For something like this, clean lines, fine detail, especially on the hand, I'd normally charge around 15 gold pieces. She pauses briefly, smiling as she sees Simon considering. That includes high quality inks, proper sterilization, and a bit of magical ointment to accelerate healing and ensure the design remains sharp. It'll take roughly 2 hours, start to finish. Shall we get started? Does Simon agree to the price and proceed with the tattoo?
Simon proceeds with the tattoo, but will pay her 20 gold.
Mara smiles appreciatively as Simon hands her 20 gold pieces, clearly pleased by his generosity. Very kind of you, she says warmly. Let's get started. She carefully prepares the inks and sterilizes her equipment thoroughly, guiding Simon to a comfortable chair. Over the next 2 hours, she works meticulously, expertly applying the intricate symbol onto the back of Simon's right hand. Simon feels a slight sting, but Mara's steady, practiced technique makes the process surprisingly bearable. As she finishes, Mara carefully applies the promised healing ointment, instantly soothing the mild discomfort. She examines her work, clearly pleased with the final result. Tattoo details, location, back of Simon's right hand. Design, Valharen's symbol, a downward pointing sword encircled by thorny vines, with 3 drops of blood beneath the sword's tip. Effect: the tattoo subtly pulses with energy when Simon focuses on it, a clear sign that his bond with Valharen has been deepened and made tangible. Mara wraps his hand gently in clean cloth. Take care of it for the next day or two. After that, it'll be permanent and pristine. Simon gains inspiration for embracing his connection to Valharen through this act. Simon also levels up. This significant commitment solidifies his relationship with Valharen and opens new paths of power and possibility. Would you like to manage Simon's level up now or continue with his current activities?
I want to level up now. I'll let you know, Lord, what I change. We can get back to it then. 1 second. Inspiration first off. Okay, class. Level. Wait a minute. Add another class. Oh man, I want to be a warlock. Fine, then I'll be a rogue. Prioritizing civil strikes over brute strength. Dex, it's a primary ability. Hit points to D8, dexterity, intelligence. $30. To D8. Okay. Stealth. Expertise. Stealth and Arcana. Sneak attack. Once per turn, 1d6 of your attack roll. And the attack uses a finesse or ranged weapon. Get your damage type. What should I take? With the staff. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Do the character sheet. All right. Okay. I took a level in rogue, so I'm now a level 3 fighter, fighter, eldritch, knight, and a level 1 rogue. I gained I gained 10 additional hit points.
Excellent choice. Simon is now officially a multi-class character. Fighter, Eldritch Knight, level 3, Rogue level 1. Here's a quick rundown of your new features. Rogue level 1 benefits. Sneak attack 1d6. Simon now deals an extra 1d6 damage once per turn when he hits a target if he has advantage on the attack roll, or an ally is within 5 feet of the target and Simon doesn't have disadvantage. Expertise. Simon selects 2 skills, or 1 skill in Thieves' Tools he's proficient in, and doubles the proficiency bonus for checks involving these selections. Thieves' Cant. Simon learns the secret language and symbols used by rogues, allowing secret communication among rogues and understanding coded messages. Proficiencies gained. 1 rogue skill if you haven't already selected it. Light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbows, longswords, rapiers, short swords, already covered by fighter, so nothing new here. Thieves' Tools proficiency, if not already possessed. Let me know which skill Simon chooses for expertise and any additional rogue skill proficiency you're selecting, and I'll update the records accordingly. Once that's done, we can continue Simon's adventure.
Okay. Expertise. What do I want to take? What should I do? Hit points and gains expertise in what I decide perception, investigation, which is already at a +5. Intelligence modifier 3. Bonus efficiency. Expertise, bonus efficiency. That would we can do it. +7 total. Investigation. Alright. Let's pick up in the tattoo shop.
Simon flexes his newly tattooed hand gently, feeling an unfamiliar yet strangely comforting warmth beneath the fresh ink. Mara finishes cleaning her workspace and looks up, smiling with satisfaction. "It suits you," she comments, her gaze admiring her work. "Wear it well, friend. If you need anything else, you know where to find me." The symbol on Simon's hand seems to pulse softly, resonating faintly with an unseen power. Valheron's presence, perhaps. Simon stands, feeling invigorated by this newfound connection and the possibilities ahead. What would you like Simon to do next?
Are the games still going on?
Yes, the Festival of Blades games are still ongoing. It's currently mid morning, and the day's competitions have likely already begun. Simon's next match isn't until later in the afternoon, giving him some time to rest, prepare, or even watch other contests if he wishes. He recalls the vibrant atmosphere of cheering crowds, clashing blades, and competitors vying for glory. each fight more intense than the last. Given his recent victory and newfound strength, Simon might benefit from observing potential opponents or revisiting the arena to familiarize himself with today's schedule. Would Simon like to head directly to the arena, or is there something else he'd prefer to do before his next match?
He wants to visit the location that he found his patron, looking to see if he can find him before watching some matches.
Simon leaves the tattoo shop, his new tattoo subtly pulsing, guiding him back toward the outskirts of town, specifically the secluded spot near the arena where he'd first sensed Valharen's presence. After a short walk, Simon arrives at the place, a quiet glade just off the main path, shaded by tall trees. The air feels thick, slightly charged, as if something unseen is watching and waiting. Simon takes a moment to steady himself, gently touching the symbol on his hand. He senses that he's not alone here, though no visible form appears yet. How would Simon like to proceed to try and make contact with Valharen? Would he call out, make an offering, meditate, or do something else entirely?
Simon bends down and grabs a fistful of dirt. He then stands up and drops the dirt slowly from his hand, looking to see if if it moves in a certain direction.
Simon slowly opens his hand, allowing the earth to slip between his fingers. The soil drifts gently downward, scattering in a thin stream. At first, the dirt falls straight, but after a moment, Simon notices something subtle yet unmistakable. The falling dirt begins to shift unnaturally, drifting as if caught by an invisible breeze. It slowly swirls toward the shadowed grove ahead, settling into a narrow path through the trees. There's no wind, and yet the dust moves clearly, deliberately, drawing Simon toward a shadowy spot deeper into the glade. Simon senses a familiar presence there, hidden in the shadows, patiently waiting. Does Simon follow this silent invitation deeper into the grove?
Yes, Simon enters the grove.
Simon steps carefully into the grove, following the faint trail left by the drifting soil. Each step deeper into the shadows feels more significant, the atmosphere growing heavier, charged with anticipation. As he reaches the heart of the grove, the air grows still. From the shadows emerges a familiar figure, tall, cloaked, imposing. Valharen. The entity regards Simon silently for a moment, before finally speaking, voice deep and resonant, echoing gently through the trees. You return to me quickly. Few show such initiative. Have you considered my offer fully? Valharan's hidden gaze seems fixed upon Simon's freshly inked symbol, clearly aware of the bond now forged between them. How does Simon respond?
You like my new work? It was made with you in mind.
Valharan's shadowy figure inclines its head slightly, the gesture filled with quiet approval. Simon senses an amused, appreciative warmth emanating from the entity. Indeed, it suits you. Boldness, decisiveness, qualities I admire, Valharan responds, his voice reverberating softly. The shadow shifts closer, inspecting the tattoo. Simon feels a slight tingling heat from the mark, as if resonating directly with Valharan's presence. You've bound yourself to me, Simon. Through your mark, I grant you strength. But remember, this bond flows both ways. When I call upon you, I expect loyalty in return. Valharan pauses, watching Simon carefully. Do you understand this clearly? How does Simon reply?
Of course, that was the idea to begin with.
Valharan's shadowy form shifts subtly, an impression of satisfaction and pride emanating clearly. Then our pact is sealed. Your battles become my battles, your triumphs, my triumphs. The entity pauses, and Simon feels the tattoo pulse warmly, deeply as Valharan continues. When you fight, I will guide your hand. When your enemies rise against you, call upon me. In return, you will stand ready when I have need. Valharan's form begins to fade, blending slowly back into the shadows. His final words echo quietly through the grove. Carry my symbol proudly, Simon. Soon enough, I shall test your resolve. As the entity vanishes completely, Simon feels a newfound strength and purpose flowing within him. Simon is left standing alone in the quiet grove, knowing clearly he has forged an irrevocable bond with Valharan. What would Simon like to do next?
Go out to the stadium and watch some fights from the private boxes.
Simon exits the shaded grove, making his way toward the bustling heart of the city, the Festival of Blades Arena. The streets become busier as he approaches, excitement hanging thick in the air. Soon, the towering structure of the arena looms ahead, filled with cheering crowds and the distant sound of clashing steel. Approaching the private entrance, Simon shows his tournament credentials. An attendant swiftly guides him upstairs to the reserved boxes overlooking the arena. Settling comfortably into a seat, Simon has an excellent vantage point of the matches below. Current match. Two warriors square off in the sand-covered pit. Sir Harlan, a broad-shouldered knight in shining steel, wielding a heavy greatsword with brutal strength, Leora, a lithe half-elf rogue, her agility impressive as she deftly maneuvers twin daggers with graceful precision. The crowd roars with anticipation as the battle reaches its climax, the combatants circling each other carefully, each waiting for an opening. Simon watches closely, absorbing tactics, noting their strengths and weaknesses, knowing any of these fighters could soon stand opposite him. Does Simon do anything specific while watching, or simply enjoy observing the match?
Enjoy the match, but be on the watch for opponents' tactics. See what he can use to his advantage. Also, how many people are in the room with me?
Simon carefully observes the match, focusing intently on identifying patterns and tactics that he might exploit in future battles. Sir Harlan clearly favors power strikes, telegraphing his attacks slightly before each heavy swing. He seems overly reliant on brute strength, leaving himself briefly vulnerable after each strike. Leora relies heavily on speed and evasion. Her agility allows her to easily dodge attacks, but Simon notes she tends to leave her left side briefly unguarded after she lunges with her right dagger, a pattern he could potentially exploit. Room occupancy. Currently, there are 3 other people in the private box with Simon. A wealthy-looking human noblewoman, dressed elegantly, accompanied by an attendant. A sharp-eyed, older elven man, wearing a robe embroidered with arcane symbols, quietly studying the match. They're all absorbed in the ongoing fight and pay Simon little attention. The cheers from the crowd rise dramatically as Leora, seizing an opening, slips behind Sir Harlan, landing a decisive strike. Sir Harlan staggers, nearly dropping to a knee, and the crowd erupts in thunderous applause. Would Simon like to interact with anyone here or continue quietly observing the arena?
Simon will ask the older elven man what he thought of Matt.
Simon leans slightly toward the older elven gentleman, politely catching his attention. What did you think of that match? The elf turns, fixing Simon with a thoughtful, assessing gaze. After a brief pause, he replies in a quiet, cultured voice, "A fascinating duel. The knight relies too heavily on force alone, predictable and ultimately costly." He gestures elegantly toward the victorious rogue now bowing modestly in the arena below. She, however, understands subtlety, precision over raw strength. A skilled opponent, no doubt. But, he adds knowingly, one who relies excessively on agility risks severe punishment if caught even once. His eyes twinkle slightly as he gives Simon a curious look. You're a competitor yourself, aren't you? Studying potential foes? How does Simon respond?
Well, you caught me. I figured I'd get a head start. on my rivals today.
The elf chuckles lightly, nodding approvingly. A wise choice. Observing one's opponents closely can mean the difference between victory and defeat. He offers Simon a small, respectful smile, extending a slender hand gracefully. My name is Elendril, scholar and mage by trade, an occasional admirer of these tournaments. Might I have the pleasure of your name? He looks genuinely interested, clearly intrigued by Simon's thoughtful approach. Does Simon introduce himself fully, or how would he like to respond?
I'm Simon, but in the pits, I prefer Blood Fist. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Elandril's eyes sparkle with amusement, and he strokes his chin thoughtfully. Simon is solid, respectable. But Blood Fist, he pauses dramatically, savoring the name. That's memorable. It conveys strength, ferocity, and perhaps a touch of mystery. He nods approvingly. An excellent choice for the arena. Names have power, after all. If your goal is intimidation or simply to leave a lasting impression on the crowd, Blood Fist will serve you well. Smiling lightly, he adds with a hint of curiosity, will I have the pleasure of seeing Blood Fist in action later today? How does Simon reply?
You surely shall. I plan to take on all comers today, or at least two more.
Elandril raises his eyebrows appreciatively, clearly pleased with Simon's confidence. Ambitious. I like that. The crowd will appreciate it as well. I'll make certain to watch your matches closely. He leans slightly forward, a faint twinkle of intrigue in his eyes as he lowers his voice. If you don't mind an old mage's curiosity, may I ask if your prowess is entirely martial, or do you dabble in the arcane as well? I sense something intriguing about you, an aura beyond simple combat skill. He seems genuinely curious, respectfully waiting for Simon's response. How would Simon like to answer?
But that would be telling now, wouldn't it? Besides, you should have seen me yesterday, and you would have your Answer. Want to bet on my first game?
Elandril laughs softly, clearly enjoying Simon's playful evasiveness. Cleverly answered. You do know how to build suspense. He leans back comfortably, considering Simon's offer with genuine interest. A friendly wager always makes the spectacle more enjoyable. Very well. I'll take your bet. He smiles confidently, eyes twinkling. I have a good feeling about you, Bloodfist. I'll bet 10 gold pieces on your victory in your first match today. Should you win, consider it yours, with my compliments. Lose, and perhaps you'll satisfy my curiosity about your hidden talents? Elandril offers his hand to seal the deal, clearly amused by the friendly challenge. Does Simon agree to the wager?
That sounds good to me. I'll look for you here after I'm wed.
Elandril shakes Simon's hand warmly, sealing the wager with a firm, respectful grip. Excellent. I look forward to it, Bloodfist. He replies with a gracious smile. May fortune favor your boldness today. As he leans back in his chair, returning his attention to the arena below, Simon feels the anticipation building inside him, ready to test his new strength and connection with Valharan. What's Simon's next move? Continue watching matches? Prepare privately for his fight? Or something else entirely?
How many matches are there between now and Simon's first match of the day?
Simon glances down at the day's schedule posted on a wooden board near the private box. He sees that 2 matches remain before his own bout. 1. Match 1. A barbarian versus a ranger. 2. Match 2. A monk versus a warlock. Simon estimates this gives him roughly an hour and a half before his own match begins, allowing him ample time to observe, rest, or prepare as he sees fit. What would Simon like to do during this time?
During the first match, Simon will work out on his own and practice sword forms with his scimitars. He wants to make sure to catch the fight with the warlock.
Simon finds a quiet spot just outside the private boxes, away from the noise of the crowds, and spends the first match diligently practicing his sword forms. He moves smoothly through various techniques, both offensive and defensive, becoming one with his scimitars. The exercises sharpen his reflexes, focusing both his body and mind for the coming fights. After about 45 minutes, feeling warmed up and confident, Simon sheathes his scimitars and returns to the box just in time for the second match. The monk versus the warlock. Match overview. The combatants are just stepping into the arena. The monk, lean and poised, wears simple garments and has a calm intensity in their eyes. Clearly agile and disciplined, they prepare quietly, breathing steadily. The warlock, mysterious and imposing, stands tall in dark robes embroidered with silver arcane symbols, wielding a polished ebony staff that glows faintly with magical power. As the match begins, the warlock immediately attempts to seize control of the battlefield by summoning shadowy tendrils, while the monk expertly maneuvers to evade and counterattack. Simon watches closely, studying each combatant's strategies and techniques carefully. Would Simon like to focus on something specific about the warlock, or watch the fight generally?
Watch both sides of the fight equally. Learn how to incorporate magic into my fighting based on what the warlock does.
Simon watches intently, focusing equally on both combatants to better understand how they blend martial skill with magic. Key observations. The warlock primarily relies on ranged spells to control space and maintain distance, frequently uses Eldritch Blast to force the monk back, aiming carefully to disrupt timing and footwork. Cleverly combines spellcasting with battlefield manipulation, using spells like Armor of Agathis for defense and Misty Step for quick repositioning, ensuring he stays out of direct melee danger. The warlock's approach clearly emphasizes using magic to dictate the pace, exploiting enemy openings caused by magical distractions. The monk demonstrates remarkable patience and agility, expertly evading magical attacks, showing Simon how precision timing can neutralize even powerful ranged magic. Uses swift, calculated bursts of movement, darting through openings left by the warlock's spells to close the distance quickly. Once in melee range, the monk employs rapid, decisive strikes, landing blows and immediately retreating to avoid counterspells, showcasing how quick entry and exit can mitigate enemy magical counterattacks. Insights Simon gathers. Blending magic effectively with combat involves timing and positioning. Spells can create openings in an opponent's defense or reposition Simon quickly to capitalize on an enemy's vulnerability. Using magic defensively, as the warlock does, could greatly increase Simon's survivability and control of the battlefield. Precision, quick thinking, and the ability to anticipate an opponent's moves are essential. Magic works best when seamlessly integrated into a broader strategy rather than being treated as an isolated tactic. The match concludes dramatically. The monk finally pierces the warlock's defenses after deftly dodging a powerful eldritch blast. With lightning speed, the monk lands several swift strikes, forcing the warlock to surrender. The crowd erupts in applause, celebrating the monk's impressive victory. Simon's match is next. Does Simon have anything he wants to do immediately before stepping into the arena?
And before he steps into the arena, he grabs hand of dirt and hold it to his forehead and whisper, Valharan, while letting the dirt fall out of his hand.
Simon crouches briefly near the arena entrance, scooping a handful of earth into his palm. He closes his eyes, pressing the soil gently to his forehead, feeling the roughness against his skin. Quietly, he whispers, Valharan. As he slowly opens his hand, the earth slips between his fingers, drifting downward. Simon senses the subtle yet unmistakable pulse from the tattoo on his hand, warmth spreading reassuringly through his body, a quiet acknowledgement from his patron. He feels focused, connected, and emboldened. With confidence, Simon rises and steps into the bright sunlight of the arena, ready to face whatever challenge awaits him. The crowd roars in excitement, anticipating the fight, chanting, Shh! Blood fist! Blood fist! Blood fist! Opposite him, his next opponent steps into view. A warrior armored in sturdy chainmail, wielding a large, well-used battle axe. The fighter meets Simon's gaze with a respectful nod, then assumes a ready stance. The announcer's voice booms above the crowd. Let the battle begin. Roll initiative for Simon, and we'll kick things off.
Roll the initiative of 5.
Simon takes his stance, feeling confident despite his slower start. The armored warrior reacts first, seizing initiative and charging forward with surprising speed, battle axe raised high for a powerful overhead strike. The warrior swings hard, aiming directly at Simon. Go ahead and roll Simon's armor class defense AC 12, and let me know what you roll.
Okay. I rolled a 4.
With a roll of Simon is caught slightly off guard by the opponent's rapid approach. The armored warrior's axe connects solidly, striking hard in the shoulder. Simon grunts in pain as he takes 8 points of slashing damage. The blow stings, but Simon quickly regains his footing, adrenaline surging. It's now Simon's turn. What would Simon like to do next?
8 points of damage. Simon will attack with both
Simon steps forward, retaliating swiftly with both scimitars. Make 2 attack rolls, 1 for each scimitar, and let me know your results. Also, remember, Simon may use sneak attack if conditions are met.
16. 16 and 9. Roll a 16 and a 9.
Simon darts forward with a swift and determined assault. First attack, 16. Hits! Simon's scimitar slices through the warrior's defenses, striking true. Second attack, 9. Unfortunately misses, the opponent deftly shifting aside just in time. Now, roll damage for Simon's successful attack. Also, Simon doesn't get sneak attack damage this turn, as he neither has advantage nor an ally nearby. Roll SHA 1d6 plus Simon's dexterity modifier for the first attack, and let me know the total. Simon's scimitar bites into the warrior's side, dealing 5 points of damage. The warrior grimaces in pain, but quickly regains composure, gripping his battle axe tightly and preparing to strike again. The crowd roars with excitement, cheering both competitors' ferocity. Opponent's turn. The armored warrior steps back, briefly gauging Simon's defenses. Deciding quickly, he pivots, swinging the axe horizontally at Simon, trying to knock him off balance. Roll Simon's defense AC 12 again, and let me know the result.
I still don't understand why I'm doing that. AC 12. $20. Rolled a not 20. Simon swings both scimitars at the warrior, aiming for the backs of his knees. $13. $13 and 24. Roll 13 and scimitar attacks, do they both hit? And it's been nice music so far, but
First attack 13. Just barely misses. The warrior shifts slightly at the last second, his chainmail absorbing the blow. Second attack 24. A solid hit. Simon's scimitar slices cleanly behind the warrior's knee, exploiting his weakened stance. Now, roll for damage, 1d6 plus dexterity modifier, for the successful hit, and let me know the total.
for slashing damage to the back of their leg. Let me know if I roll a stealth attack roll.
Simon's blade cuts into the back of the warrior's leg, dealing 4 slashing damage. The warrior stumbles slightly but grits his teeth, still standing strong. Unfortunately, sneak attack does not apply this round since Simon did not have advantage on the roll that hit, only on the attack roll itself. There is no ally within 5 feet to trigger the effect. However, Simon still has his bonus action available. Would you like to disengage, avoid an opportunity attack if you back away, dash, increase movement, dodge, impose disadvantage on incoming attacks, or something else creative? Smart choice. Simon quickly shifts into a defensive stance, keeping his movements light and unpredictable. Simon uses his bonus action to dodge. Until his next turn, all attacks against him are made at disadvantage. He remains fully engaged in the fight, ready to react. Opponent's turn. The warrior, now limping slightly from Simon's precise strike, growls in frustration and grips his battle axe tightly. Not bad, blood fist, but let's see you dodge this. He swings again, aiming a brutal overhead strike at Simon. Because Simon dodged, the warrior rolls at disadvantage. Rolling to hit, you don't need to roll. I'll handle the disadvantage and let you know what happens. The warrior's axe swings down, but due to Simon's quick reflexes and defensive stance, the strike goes wide, slamming into the dirt. The crowd cheers at Simon's expert footwork, impressed by his ability to outmaneuver a stronger opponent. Simon's turn again. The warrior is still standing, though slightly slowed from Simon's precise attacks. What does Simon do next?
Simon makes 2 attacks with scimitars. $14 and 10.
Simon presses the attack, striking again with both scimitars, aiming to wear down the warrior before he can recover. Roll 2 attack rolls and let me know the results.
Those weird sounds. It's odd.
First attack, just barely hits. Simon's scimitar slips past the warrior's defenses, cutting into him. Second attack, 10, misses. The warrior manages to shift just in time, deflecting the blade with his chainmail. Now, roll for damage, 1d6 plus dexterity modifier, for the successful hit, and let me know the total. Simon's scimitar slashes across the warrior's side, cutting through the chainmail and drawing 8 points of slashing damage. The warrior staggers slightly, clearly feeling the accumulated wounds. The crowd roars as Simon lands another clean hit, the momentum shifting in his favor. Opponent's turn. Breathing heavily, the warrior clenches his jaw and adjusts his stance. Recognizing that Simon is too fast to hit cleanly in direct combat, he changes tactics. Instead of another brute force swing, he lunges forward, trying to grapple Simon. If successful, he'll attempt to use his strength to overpower and pin Simon down. Roll an acrobatics or athletics check, your choice, to contest the grapple. Since Simon is agile, acrobatics might be the better choice. Let me know your roll.
Simon made an 18 athletics roll.
The warrior lunges forward, attempting to grab hold of Simon and overpower him. But Simon reacts instantly. Using his superior strength and reflexes, he twists out of the grapple, shoving the warrior back with a powerful push. The crowd erupts in cheers at Simon's agility and raw power, chanting "Blood fist! Blood fist!" as the warrior stumbles and barely regains his footing. His attempt to restrain Simon has failed, leaving him momentarily off balance. Simon's turn. The warrior is still standing, but clearly struggling. Simon has the advantage here. What does he do next?
He'll cast Toll the Dead. Will cast Toll the Dead. On the warrior. Wisdom 15 save. Warrior needs to make a DC Wisdom 15 DC saving throw. Well, it looks like that's going to be it for now. Ran out of too many 4.5 minute tokens, so I hope everybody enjoyed what they had seen today. Hopefully we'll be back next Monday with some more Curse of Strahd. In the meantime, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That'll help the channel out quite a bit, especially the subscribe part. If you don't want to miss our upcoming games, you'll need to subscribe most definitely. Alright, everyone. Have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye.